being yourself. Different camera, using a different camera. Maybe I can video edit this. I think being yourself is incredibly important, and that's kind of like what it boils down to when you're in the LGBT spectrum. Like I have a lot of issues with dysphoric things like genitalia, face, body image. But this idea there's very staunch black and white idea that there's male and female, and their genitalia, they are their genitalia, and their genitalia is there solely to reproduce, you know, as God instructed, you know, and it's false. It's completely false. Humanity is incredibly diverse, not just in terms of like ethnicities or cultures, but also in terms of things like gender, sexuality, preferences amongst straight people, you know, the whole shebang. You know, there is incredible diversity, you know, and that's what makes us human. That's what makes us what we are. Is how things are and how things have always been in relation to things like sexuality, gender identity, roles, you know, all these different stereotypes is also false. Right? I made a short a little while ago where I was talking about man, the terminology of pronouns, and like woman, logically, you know, because the way we pronounce it, you would logically seem that, you know, it is a womb man. Historically, it would have been a womb man. You look at the word history, it has his story. Historically, you know, man was gender neutral. Historically, it was wife man. So it was wife person kind of thing. You know, the wife of the man was the person, the wife person of the person, right? You know, those roles would have been established through things like Christianity in European culture. In European culture, the Roman Catholic Church held a stronghold on Europe, you know, for the longest time, to the minutest detail, right down to controlling monarchies. You know, and it wasn't until the monarchy of my people, you know, rebelled against that and escaped it, that things really started to change. Afterwards, you start seeing things like Lutheranism, Protestantism, and whatnot. Right? Religion is not the same. Things continue. You know, what stays the same? You know, pronouns will change again in the future. It's just that simple. You know, but we're just coming to this crux in enlightenment, crux in you know, our collective consciousness, where we're realizing that, like, yeah, no, things aren't as black and white as what we say they are. Right? You know, and for that matter, you know, can you define this too ballistic as being female or feminine? Can you give it a gender role? You know, what would its gender role be? Would its gender role be to feminize a female? Why would you need to feminize a female? A female should already be feminine. So the gender role is to be appealing to the male. Is that not problematic? Has it always been that way? No? Right? So the idea of somebody being gender fluid, or somebody just having this palette of gendered things, you know, that they draw from to make their way through the day, you know, when it's being masked at work, you know, or being feminine at home with their partner, you know, who's to say that this is wrong? You know, the world creates us, and we create the world around us. We create the type of environment, society, culture that we live in. You know, to say otherwise, to say that it is permanent and never changing, is false. So why does it happen? Control. Factionism and control. Just the same as within religion. Religion plays huge issues, you know, within our society, and whilst religion is also changing today. You know, you can say that, like, for example, Catholicism, Islam is very much anti-LGBT. There's an element of truth to that. Institutionally, there's very much an element of truth to that. Right? Institutionally, there's very much an element of truth to that. But within the peoples who follow those religions, that's not necessarily the case at all. They don't particularly take issue with why this is like this and why that is like that. You know, why you are like this and why they're like that. Right? These are not problems, you know, in our day-to-day society. But it's factionism in relation to institutionalism and whatnot that creates these problems. And why? Power. You know, religion and politics go hand in hand. I think it was King Henry VIII who couldn't bear a son who would take over his lineage and maintain his power over the monarchy of England. And so what he did is he broke away from the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church would not allow him to divorce. And he ended up going through various different women to, like, produce a heir. You know, we create the world around us. You know, and whilst you might say that that's really selfish and patriarchal and so forth, you know, it benefited England. Right? It benefited England because England broke free of the control of the Catholic Church. Is it like that today? Not at all. Right? You know, has the Catholic Church changed considerably? Considerably. It has changed considerably. Things have changed considerably since the Middle Ages. Right? We talk about the hardships that, like, Indigenous Canadians have endured in Canada, you know, and how colonialism was a huge aspect of that, and religion. It's true. It's true, right? But we have also changed. It's not an eraser. It doesn't erase the history. It doesn't erase what has happened, right? But things have changed. You know, it's important to bear in mind that, like, these things that we say are, it's 100% like this, there are rules, it is like that, it is written, it is, these things all change. You know, in a really lowbrow kind of way, you know, we use God against each other.